think this restaurant makes you powerful? His paths, his words sharp and deliberate. People will forget your place soon enough. But Rosalyn, her shoulders straight and her gaze unwavering, met him calmly. I have done nothing but feed, serve and create, she replied, her voice steady as the river that cut through the outskirts of the village. If respect grows from efforts, then perhaps you should learn from it. Jeremy's fist clenched, but he realized, deep down, that his anger had little sway over a woman who had begun to see the world through her own eyes. In the marketplace, villagers whispered among themselves, noticing how Rosalyn navigated the growing tension with grace. Traders praised her for her skill and resilience, while children laughed as they collected small treats from her stall. Even some elders who had once doubted her now offered quiet nods of approval and subtle advice. A woman who stands in her truth, one old man murmured, cannot be shaken by the storm of fear. These small gestures of acknowledgement became a lifeline, feeding Rosalyn's confidence like water nourishing roots beneath the soil. Every glance of respect, every whispered word of encouragement strengthened her determination to continue her path of independence. Robert, always a quiet guide, joined Rosalyn that evening by the riverbank. He tossed small stones into the flowing water, watching as they skipped across the surface. Your strength is like this river, he said softly. It will find its way around obstacles, carving a path no one can stop. Jeremy is merely a rock in your current. Rosalyn smiled, feeling the wisdom in his words settle deep into her chest. She returned to the compound that night with renewed determination, planning her next steps carefully. A new menu inspired by local harvests, small expansions to her restaurant, and discreet negotiations with traders who secure more ingredients at fair prices. As darkness settled over the village, Rosalyn opened her journal and began to write feverishly. She chronicled Jeremy's outburst, the subtle signs of his weakening control, and her growing influence within the community. She sketched ideas for expansion, noted recipes perfected through trial and patience, and documented her growing understanding of human behavior, power, and resilience. The fire within her, once a timid ember, now burned fiercely. Rosalyn realized that her liberation was no longer a distant dream. It was unfolding before her eyes, carried forward by courage, strategy, and an unshakable belief in her own strength. Jeremy's frustration reached new heights that morning. He strode into the village square with a storm in his eyes, muttering accusation that no one dared to answer. Do you think this nonsense makes you strong? He demanded, gesturing towards Rosalyn's bustling restaurant. The villagers froze, unsure how to respond, but Rosalyn stepped forward calmly, her presence steady and unyielding. Strength, she said, voice clear and deliberate, is measured in what we create, not in fear we instill. The words hung in the air like a chant, and a subtle hush fell over the crowd. Jeremy's lips pressed into a thin line as he realized that his unusual tactics, yelling, intimidation, and ridicule, no longer commanded the fear he had relied on. Rosalyn's defiance was quiet but potent, and it spread like wildfire through the village, igniting small sparks of admiration and support. Inside her restaurant, life thrummed with energy. Women she had trained moved with grace, serving steaming plates of jollof rice, roasted goats, and sweet plantains to a growing crowd of villagers and traders. Children's laughter mingled with the rhythmic clatter of pots and pans, creating a soundtrack of life, resilience, and triumph. Rosalyn moved among them, observing, instructing, and learning. Every challenge, every skeptical glance from a patron became an opportunity to refine her craft and strengthen her leadership. She realized that true empowerment was not a single act, but a series of deliberate choices, each one shaping the path she walked and leaving Jeremy increasingly powerless to influence it. That evening, Robert joined Rosalyn in the quiet of her compound. Together, they discussed plans for expanding the restaurant, negotiating with traders, and creating a sustainable system that would free her from Jeremy's interference. "Every river faces rocks," Robert said, tossing a small pebble into the nearby stream. "But it keeps moving, shaping its path regardless. You are that river, Rosalyn. No man's fear can redirect your flow." She smiled, feeling the truth in his words pulse through her. With his guidance, she developed strategies not only for business but also for navigating Jeremy's manipulations. Small, careful moves designed to reclaim her life, one day at a time. As night fell and the village settled into quiet, Rosalyn opened her journal and wrote with fervor. Each word documented her victories, however small, and the strategy she had developed to counter Jeremy's intimidation. She reflected on the growing support of the villagers, the guidance of Robert, and the wisdom of her ancestors, whose stories whispered encouragement in the crackling fire. The ember of hope had become a blaze, illuminating a path she could walk with confidence. Rosalyn knew, with unshakable certainty, that her liberation was not a fleeting dream. It was becoming reality, one deliberate choice at a time. And Jeremy's reign of fear was slowly crumbling before the force of her courage. The sun rose over Umuokoro with the same golden promise as it had on the day Rosalyn first dared to dream. But now, the light fell on a woman transformed. A mother of triplets, a thriving restaurateur, and a pillar of strength in the village. Jeremy, who once ruled her life with fear and manipulation, had departed quietly, his attempt at control powerless against the steady rise of her courage. Rosalyn walked through the village square with her head held high, the laughter of children and the warmth of grateful neighbors following her every step. Her life was no longer defined by fear, but by creation, resilience, and love. Her restaurant had become more than a business. It was a sanctuary, a gathering place where villagers shared stories, celebrated successes, and passed down wisdom to the next generation. Robert stood beside her, a partner in life and vision, offering respect, encouragement, and companionship built on equality. Rosalyn reflected on her journey, the sleepless nights, the careful strategies, the small victories, and the moments of doubt. Each step had taught her that true strength was measured not in domination over others but in the courage to reclaim oneself, to nurture life, and to persevere through adversity. The village elders who had once doubted her now looked on with pride. "The river cannot be stopped," one murmured, echoing the wisdom that had guided Rosalyn all along. She had carved a path through rocks, storms, and fear, shaping her destiny with patience, strategy, and unwavering belief. The stories of her grandmother and ancestors had come alive in her choices, and she had honored them not with revenge but with triumph, dignity, and integrity. Rosalyn's life was proof that resilience and kindness could conquer oppression, and that liberation was a path forged through courage, wisdom, and community. And so, the moral of Rosalyn's story became clear. Patience and strategy allow one to reclaim autonomy without bitterness. Support and mentorship amplify resilience. No one thrives entirely alone. Respect, creation, and service are stronger foundations than dominance and control. Triumph need not be revenge. True victory is living fully, honoring oneself and nurturing others. Rosalyn's journey, though born from struggle, became a beacon for all who witnessed it. A testament that even in the darkest storms, the human spirit, guided by wisdom, courage, and love, can rise and flourish, carrying with it the legacy of those who came before and lighten the path for those yet to come. If this tale touched you, share it so our children never forget.